Myra was an ordinary human who never thought her life would change in a single night. She worked as a technician on a quiet space station that orbited a lonely gas giant far from Earth. The station was not important compared to the big hubs closer to the center of human space. It was used for trade with smaller colonies and for research on the planet below. Myra liked the quiet life there. She had no dreams of glory or fame. Her work was fixing machines, running cables, and making sure the power grid stayed stable. The station itself was a ring-shaped structure with long corridors that often felt empty. Myra walked those halls every day with her toolkit slung over her shoulder. She enjoyed the silence because it allowed her to think. Sometimes she would pause near the observation deck just to watch the stormy surface of the gas giant. The colors of blue and gold swirled across the planet like endless waves. It gave her a sense of peace. On this night, Myra finished her shift later than usual. The last repair had taken longer because the circuits were old and corroded. She wiped sweat from her brow and yawned as she walked down the narrow corridor toward her small quarters. The lights above flickered slightly, which reminded her that the power grid still needed more work. She thought about adding it to her report the next day. The hall was empty. Only the soft hum of machines filled the air. She did not notice at first that she was being watched. As she turned a corner, her eyes caught movement. A shadow detached itself from the wall and stepped into her path. Myra froze. Her hand instinctively went to the small wrench on her belt, though she knew it was useless as a weapon. The figure before her was unlike anything she had seen. A tall and graceful form stood there, wrapped in a dark suit that blended with the shadows. But what caught Myra's attention most were the alien features. The figure had pointed ears that rose from a head covered with sleek hair. Eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, sharp and unblinking. There was something feline about the way the figure moved, light on the feet, balanced, ready to strike at any moment. The alien spoke with a calm but dangerous voice. "You are Myra, human technician of this station." Myra's mouth went dry. "Yes. Who are you and what do you want from me?" The alien tilted her head slightly. "I am Lyra. I was sent to end your life." Myra's heart pounded in her chest. She had no weapon, no training, no way to resist someone who looked like a professional killer. Her first thought was to run, but she knew she would never outrun such speed. Her second thought was to fight, but the wrench in her hand felt like nothing against the blades she now saw strapped to Lyra's sides. "Why me?" Myra asked, her voice trembling but steady enough to show she was not entirely broken by fear. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "You are important to humanity's future. My clan was told your existence must be erased." Myra shook her head. "I am only a worker. I repair circuits and machines. I am not important." The alien assassin took a step closer. Her movements were smooth, silent, like a predator approaching prey. "You may not know your value, but orders are orders. My people trained me since childhood for missions such as this. I never fail." Myra raised her wrench slightly, not to strike but to show she would not simply give up. Her heart was heavy with fear, but another part of her refused to bow. "If you are here to kill me, then do it. But I have nothing to give you. I do not know why your people want me gone." For a moment, Lyra studied her carefully. She expected Myra to beg for mercy or try to escape. Instead, the human stood there with calm defiance. It was not the strength of a soldier but the quiet resolve of someone who had accepted her place in the universe. Something in Lyra's chest stirred, though she quickly pushed the thought aside. Before she could strike, the station shuddered. Lights flickered violently, and the floor trembled beneath their feet. An alarm blared through the corridor. Myra looked up in shock. The power grid. I told them it was unstable. A loud crack echoed from above as a panel broke loose. Sparks rained down. Lyra reacted instantly, leaping back with cat-like grace. But the tremor continued. One of the side doors suddenly burst open, and a pressure wave pulled at the corridor. Myra grabbed a nearby railing, holding on tightly as the air hissed toward the breach. Lyra lost her footing for a second. The pull dragged her dangerously close to the opening. Without thinking, Myra extended her arm. "Take my hand," she shouted over the noise. Lyra hesitated, surprised by the offer. She had come to kill this human, yet the human was reaching out to save her. Instinct battled with training. Finally, Lyra grasped Myra's hand. Myra pulled with all her strength, steadying Lyra until the emergency shields closed over the breach. The alarms died down, leaving only the sound of their heavy breathing. Myra released her grip slowly, her arm sore from the effort. Lyra looked at her with unreadable eyes. "You saved me," Lyra said quietly. Myra nodded. "Yes. Because you would have died. But I came here to kill you. And yet I still saved you. Maybe now you will think twice." Lyra did not reply at once. She studied Myra again, this time not as prey but as a puzzle. Humans were supposed to be weak, selfish, and unworthy of respect. Yet this one had risked her own life for an enemy. Lyra had trained to ignore doubt, but she felt it growing stronger inside her. The silence stretched between them. Finally, Lyra stepped back. "I will not kill you tonight. I need to understand why my people fear you. Until then, you live." Myra let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. She knew this was only the beginning. If Lyra spared her, it meant something larger was at play. Questions swirled in her mind. Why would an alien empire send an assassin for someone as ordinary as her? What secret connected her to humanity's future? As Lyra melted back into the shadows, Myra stood alone in the flickering corridor. Her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a technician on a quiet station. She had become the target of an assassin who now seemed more curious than hostile. Myra did not know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew one thing. She would not give up her life so easily. Myra hardly slept after the strange encounter. She lay in her small bunk, staring at the ceiling of her cabin while the soft hum of the station filled the silence. The image of Lyra's glowing eyes would not leave her mind. The alien assassin had stepped out of the shadows, declared her intent to kill, and then suddenly changed her mind. Myra had no answers. Why her? Why would an alien empire care about a human technician on a quiet outpost? She turned on her side, clutching the thin blanket. Sleep finally claimed her, but it was restless. She dreamed of claws, stormy skies, and an endless chase through the dark halls of the station. When the morning alarm buzzed, she felt more tired than before. Still, Myra pushed herself up and began her daily routine. She washed quickly, tied her short hair back, and put on her work uniform. She carried her toolkit and walked into the corridor. Nothing seemed unusual. Crew members moved about their duties, carrying data pads or discussing trade shipments. To them, this was just another day. Myra wondered if she should tell someone about the assassin. She stopped herself. Who would believe her if she reported that an alien catgirl had appeared with the mission to kill her? The commander would think she had been overworked. Worse, if word spread, panic might run through the crew. Myra decided to keep quiet for now. Her task for the day was to run checks on the central data systems. She sat at a terminal in the control room and began scanning lines of code. At first, everything looked normal. Power distribution logs, trade records, and security reports scrolled past her eyes. Then she noticed something strange. Hidden deep in the system was an encrypted file. It did not belong there. The station's systems were simple, and most files were standard. This one was locked with layers of code she did not recognize. She frowned. Someone must have hidden it on purpose. Curiosity burned in her chest. She tried to open it, but the system rejected her every attempt. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden whisper. "You are persistent, human." Myra spun around in her chair. Lyra stood in the corner of the control room, half in shadow as if she had been there the whole time. Myra's heart jumped into her throat. "How did you get in here? The doors are locked." Lyra gave a faint smile. "Locks mean little to me. I move where I please." Myra straightened. "Are you here to finish your mission?" The assassin shook her head slowly. "Not yet. I told you I will not kill you until I understand why you matter. I have been watching." Myra felt anger rising. "You spy on me like a shadow, yet you give me no answers. You said your people believe I am important to humanity's future. Why? What do you know?" Lyra stepped closer, her movements fluid and soundless. She leaned against a console, arms crossed. "My clan was told you carry a secret. Perhaps even you do not know it. Your name was given to me with precision. There was no mistake. If you live, my people fear it will change the balance of power." Myra looked back at the terminal screen. Her thoughts connected the dots. The file. This encrypted data. Is it linked to me? Lyra's eyes followed the scrolling code. "Yes. That is why I came. It seems your own station hides the truth from you." Before Myra could respond, alarms rang through the control room. The floor trembled again. A loud voice echoed from the speakers. "Warning. Reactor output unstable. Sector C experiencing overload." Myra jumped to her feet. She grabbed her toolkit and ran toward the door. If the reactor fails, the whole station could be lost. Lyra followed without hesitation. "Show me." They raced down the corridors, weaving past confused crew members who shouted questions but received no answers. Sector C was one of the lower maintenance levels, a maze of pipes and generators. Smoke filled the air as Myra arrived. A panel had burst open, and sparks shot out dangerously close to the coolant lines. Myra dropped to her knees, pulling out tools. "I need to reroute the power. If the heat reaches the main core, it will explode." Lyra crouched beside her. "Tell me what to do." Myra blinked in surprise. "You want to help?" The assassin gave a sharp nod. "If you die now, I will never learn the truth." "Show me." Myra quickly pointed. "Hold that lever down while I connect these wires. Do not let it move." Lyra pressed her weight against the lever with ease. Her strength was far greater than Myra's, and she held it steady without struggle. Myra's fingers moved fast, twisting wires and locking clamps. Sweat poured down her face as the heat rose. Sparks burned her hands, but she kept going. Finally, with one last click, the circuits aligned. The alarm silenced. The reactor settled into a calm hum. Myra slumped back, breathing hard. "It is stable. We stopped it." Lyra released the lever and stood tall. Her sharp eyes watched Myra closely. "You risked your life again. First to save me, and now to save the station." Why? Myra wiped her brow. Because it is what must be done. If I stand by and watch, everyone dies. That is not how humans live. Lyra tilted her head, clearly deep in thought. She seemed unsettled. Her mission had been clear from the beginning, yet every action from Myra weakened her resolve. She was supposed to see humans as weak. Instead, this one human kept showing courage stronger than fear. They walked out of Sector C together. Crew members cheered Myra's quick work, thanking her for preventing disaster. Lyra kept to the shadows, unseen by most, but she watched with interest as the human workers looked at Myra with respect. Later, Myra returned to her cabin, but Lyra followed. This time, Myra did not feel only fear. She felt curiosity too. When the assassin entered her room, Myra closed the door and sat on the edge of her bunk. "Tell me the full truth," Myra demanded. "Why did your people want me dead? What are they afraid of?" Lyra leaned against the wall, her arms crossed. Her tail swayed slowly behind her. "Long ago, my empire learned of a human project. It was said to involve genetics, a way to bind knowledge into blood. Records were vague, but one name appeared: your name. My people feared that if you lived, humanity might unlock something powerful. My mission was to remove the threat before it awakened." Myra's hands tightened on the blanket. "Genetics? Are you saying my body holds some kind of secret?" Lyra gave a slight nod. "Perhaps. You may be a living key. That file you found is no accident. It is connected to you." Myra felt her stomach twist. She had always believed she was ordinary, just another worker among many. Now an alien empire believed she carried a secret that could shift the galaxy. "I do not want to be a weapon," she whispered. Lyra's expression softened for the first time. "Perhaps you do not have a choice. But I see now why you were spared. There is more to you than weakness. You are strong in ways my people do not understand." The words hung in the air. Myra looked up, meeting those sharp feline eyes. She saw no mockery there, only thoughtfulness. A sudden chime from the station system interrupted them. Myra checked her console. A new alert flashed across the screen. Unidentified ships had entered the sector, heading toward the station. Her blood ran cold. "Your people. They are coming to finish what you did not." Lyra's gaze darkened. "Yes. If they arrive, they will not hesitate. They will destroy everything to reach you." Myra stood, resolve hardening in her chest. "Then we must be ready." For the first time, assassin and target looked at each other not as enemies but as reluctant allies. The storm was only beginning. The warning alarms echoed across the station, filling every corridor with sharp red light. Crew members hurried through the halls, voices overlapping with worry and fear. The central screen in Myra's cabin showed the message clearly: unidentified ships approaching. Myra's chest tightened. She turned to Lyra, who stood calmly as if danger was nothing new. "Your people are here, aren't they?" Lyra's golden eyes narrowed. "Yes. They will not trust me to finish the task. If they see I failed, they will act themselves. They will bring hunters more ruthless than me." Myra's thoughts raced. She had just learned she might be connected to some hidden human project, her very existence tied to a secret powerful enough to draw an empire's attention. Now those hunters were closing in. She felt small and powerless, yet she refused to break. "We cannot let them take me," she said firmly. "If I am really a key to something, they must never use it against humanity." Lyra tilted her head. "You speak with courage, but you have no weapons, no training. If we fight, you cannot win." Not alone. Myra looked her in the eyes. Then I am not alone. You are here. The words struck something inside Lyra. She had never considered standing with her target. Loyalty to her clan was etched deep in her bones, but doubt now battled against duty. Myra had saved her life once, and she had risked herself again to stop the reactor from exploding. No prey behaved like this. Lyra could not ignore the feeling that this human was different. A voice rang through the station's speakers. All crew to defensive positions. Unidentified ships are preparing to dock. Possible hostile intent. Myra grabbed her toolkit out of habit, though she knew tools would not protect her. She took a deep breath and steadied her voice. If they are after me, the station is in danger. I cannot hide. We must face this. Lyra gave a single nod. Then we fight together. But understand this, once you stand against them, there is no going back. The floor shook as the first alien ship latched onto the outer docking ring. The sound of metal grinding against metal filled the air. Sirens screamed louder. Crew members shouted in panic. Myra and Lyra ran toward the docking bays. When they arrived, the scene was chaos. The station's small security team raised rifles, aiming at the sealed docking doors. Sparks appeared along the edges as the alien intruders forced their way inside. Myra ducked behind a crate, heart pounding. The doors burst open, and armored figures stepped through. They were tall, with sleek helmets and long weapons glowing with energy. Their movements were disciplined, sharp, and dangerous. These were the hunters of Lyra's empire. The security team fired first. Blue bolts shot across the bay, striking against enemy shields. The hunters returned fire with deadly precision. 2 human guards fell instantly, and the others scrambled for cover. Myra's hands shook as she watched. She wanted to help but had no weapon. Then she noticed something on the wall, a control panel for the docking bay's outer doors. An idea formed quickly. She whispered to Lyra. If I override that system, I can vent the bay and throw them into space. But I need cover. Lyra's eyes flashed with approval. Clever. Do it. I will draw their attention. Without hesitation, Lyra leaped from cover, moving with speed that stunned both humans and aliens. She slid across the floor, blades flashing in her hands. In one strike, she cut the rifle of a hunter in half. In another, she knocked another to the ground. The hunters turned their weapons on her, shouting in their own tongue. Myra took the chance. She sprinted to the panel, pulling her toolkit open. Her fingers flew across wires and circuits. The system resisted, demanding codes she did not have. But Myra knew machines. She bypassed the locks, forcing the command. The bay shuddered as red lights turned to orange. Warning. Airlock release in 10 seconds. Lyra, now, Myra cried. Lyra jumped back behind cover just as the outer doors snapped open. A violent rush of air sucked at everything in the bay. The hunters grabbed for handholds, but 2 were pulled out into the void before they could react. The others activated their magnetic boots, holding to the floor. Still, their attack was broken. The human guard seized the moment and fired again, striking down another intruder. Myra slammed the panel shut, ending the override before the entire station lost pressure. The doors sealed, and the emergency shields restored the atmosphere. Myra gasped for air, her chest burning. Lyra crouched beside her, eyes gleaming with respect. You fought with your mind, not your fists. Very human. Very dangerous. Myra managed a weak smile. We are still alive. That is enough. But the danger was not over. Another alarm sounded, this time deeper, more urgent. Myra glanced at the control panel and felt her stomach twist. More ships are docking. We cannot hold them off forever. Lyra stood tall, her blades dripping with alien blood. Then we must move. If they came for you, they will search every corner. We cannot stay here. Myra hesitated. Where can we go? The station is no longer safe. We need to escape to the outer moon. There we may hide, and you may learn the truth of your secret. Before Myra could answer, another explosion rocked the station. Smoke filled the air. The ceiling shook as pieces of metal fell around them. The hunters were not only boarding, they were damaging the station itself. Myra realized the choice was no longer hers. To stay meant certain death. To escape meant a chance to uncover why she mattered so much. She turned to Lyra, resolve in her eyes. Then we go. They slipped through service corridors, avoiding the main halls where hunters clashed with security teams. Myra led the way, using her knowledge of the station's layout. Lyra moved like a shadow at her side, striking down any enemy who blocked their path. Together they were swift and silent, a pair of unlikely allies. Finally, they reached the hangar bay. Small shuttlecraft were lined up, some already destroyed by enemy fire. Myra pointed to one still intact. That one. We can use it. Lyra scanned the hangar. More hunters guard the exit. We must be quick. The two crept closer. Myra's pulse raced as she saw 3 armored hunters standing near the shuttle. Their weapons glowed, ready for any intruder. She had no plan this time. But Lyra stepped forward without hesitation. Stay here, the assassin ordered. Before Myra could argue, Lyra launched herself into battle. Her movements were a blur, blades clashing against energy weapons. Sparks lit the hangar as steel met plasma. Myra could only watch in awe. Lyra was not just skilled, she was art in motion. Within moments, 2 hunters lay defeated, and the third fled in retreat. Now Lyra shouted. Myra rushed into the shuttle and jumped into the pilot seat. Her hands shook as she powered the craft. She had trained on shuttles before but never under such pressure. Lyra slid into the co-pilot seat, breathing hard but uninjured. The shuttle engines roared to life. Myra gripped the controls, guiding the craft out of the hangar. Behind them, the station was engulfed in battle. Explosions flared as human defenders fought desperately against superior alien forces. Myra's chest ached with guilt for leaving them, but she knew if she stayed, everyone would die in vain. The shuttle broke free into the vastness of space. Ahead lay the small moon that circled the gas giant, a place of rocky craters and silence. Myra set the course. Her heart still pounded, but she felt a strange calm. She was alive, and for now, she was free. Lyra watched her closely. You chose to fight, not hide. That makes you more dangerous than even my people believe. Myra kept her eyes on the stars. I did what I had to do. But I need answers, Lyra. If I carry some secret, I must know what it is. I will not run forever. Lyra nodded slowly. Then on the moon, I will show you what I know. The truth of your blood, and why my empire fears you. As the shuttle sped through the darkness, Myra felt fear and determination rise together. The storm was far from over. But now she had a guide, and perhaps even a friend, in the very assassin who had once sworn to kill her. And somewhere deep inside, she began to believe that humanity's strength might truly change the galaxy. The shuttle touched down on the small moon after hours of silent travel. The surface stretched endlessly in shades of gray, broken only by jagged craters and ridges. Above, the gas giant filled half the sky with swirling colors, glowing faintly in the darkness. To Myra, it was both beautiful and lonely. She shut down the shuttle's engines and sat back in the pilot seat, exhausted. Lyra stood beside her, scanning the horizon through the small window. Her feline ears twitched at every sound, though the moon was silent except for the soft hum of cooling metal from the shuttle. "This place is empty," Myra said, her voice quiet. "No cities, no outposts, no people." "That is why it will hide us," Lyra replied. "My people will not search here first. They will expect you to run to human allies, not to barren stone." Myra nodded. She unclipped her harness and stretched her sore arms. The events of the last day weighed on her heavily: the assassin's appearance, the encrypted files, the hunters, the escape. Everything felt unreal, like a dream she could not wake from. But the ache in her muscles and the fear still in her chest reminded her it was all real. They carried a few supplies from the shuttle and found a shallow cave at the base of a ridge. The cave was small but shielded from direct sight. Myra set down a portable lantern that filled the space with soft white light. She unrolled a blanket from the shuttle's emergency kit and sat on the rocky ground. For a while, silence filled the cave. Myra stared at the lantern glow while Lyra sharpened her blades with a piece of stone. The soft scraping sound echoed. Finally, Myra spoke. "You saved me back there," she said. "In the hangar. You could have left me, but you fought to clear the way." Lyra did not look up. "I fought because I chose to. Do not mistake that for loyalty. My people still call me assassin. I am not your friend." Myra studied her carefully. "Maybe not. But you are not my enemy anymore either." The words lingered in the air. Lyra's hands slowed their movement, then stopped. She set the blade aside and met Myra's eyes. For the first time, her gaze seemed uncertain. "My training tells me to end your life," Lyra admitted. "Yet my instinct tells me to protect it. I cannot explain this conflict." "Maybe because you see me as more than a target now," Myra said softly. "You watched me fight for the station. You saw what humans can do." Lyra tilted her head. "Your courage surprised me. You are not strong in body, but you are strong in spirit. My people do not understand that kind of strength." Myra gave a faint smile. "Then maybe that is what makes us dangerous to them. Not weapons, not ships, but the way we refuse to give up." The silence after her words was not heavy. It felt almost like understanding. Later, they shared food from the shuttle's rations. The meal was plain, tasteless bars of protein, but it filled their stomachs. Myra chewed slowly, her thoughts still turning. "Lyra," she said at last, "you promised to tell me more. About why your people believe I am important. About the secret in my blood." Lyra wiped her hands and sat cross-legged on the rocky floor. Her eyes glowed faintly in the lantern light. "Very well. Listen carefully. Long ago, humans created a project known as Genesis Path. It was meant to give future generations a way to hold knowledge not in machines but in themselves. Your scientists feared data could be lost, destroyed, or stolen. So they sought to place it inside human blood." Myra leaned forward. "Inside human blood? How is that possible?" "Through genetic code," Lyra explained. "Hidden sequences, patterns within your DNA. They carry not just life but information. My people discovered records of this project. We believed it was abandoned, but the name Myra appeared in fragments. You are connected to it. Perhaps you are the key to unlocking the code. Myra's mind spun. She had studied basic science during training, but this was beyond her understanding. So I am not special because of who I am, but because of what my body carries, correct? Lyra said. But that does not make you less important. Knowledge can shape empires. If you hold even a fragment of Genesis path, it could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Myra pressed a hand to her chest, as if she could feel the hidden code inside her. The thought was overwhelming. She had lived her life believing she was ordinary. Now she carried something that could alter history. Her voice was quiet. And that is why your people want me gone. Lyra nodded once. Yes. If you live, humans may rise beyond control. If you die, the secret is lost. Myra lowered her gaze to the rocky floor. I never asked for this. I only wanted a quiet life. Fate does not ask, Lyra said firmly. It chooses. The words carried weight, and Myra felt them settle deep in her heart. She sat in silence for a long time, trying to accept what she had learned. The next day, they explored the moon together. Myra wore a light suit with an air mask, while Lyra moved easily in the thin atmosphere. The rocky landscape stretched in every direction, empty and silent. They climbed ridges and looked out across endless craters. From the highest point, the gas giant filled the sky like a living ocean of storms. It is beautiful, Myra whispered. Lyra stood beside her, eyes fixed on the horizon. My people see only resources and conquest. But I see beauty here too. For hours, they walked in silence, each lost in thought. Myra began to notice small things about Lyra: the way her ears turned toward faint sounds, the way her tail flicked when she was deep in thought, the way her eyes softened when she looked at the sky. Lyra was trained as a weapon, yet there was more to her than steel and duty. That night, back in the cave, they spoke again. Myra told Lyra about human history: how people rose from small tribes to cities, how they fought wars but also built peace, how they reached the stars not because they were the strongest but because they refused to give up. Lyra listened closely, her eyes thoughtful. Your people sound reckless, she said. But also unstoppable. Perhaps that is why my empire fears you. Myra laughed softly. We are reckless, yes. But we also care for one another. That is what gives us strength. For the first time, Lyra gave a small smile. It was brief, almost hidden, but Myra saw it. It made her chest warm. Days passed in this pattern. They explored by day, shared stories by night. Myra felt a bond growing between them. Trust was fragile, yet it grew stronger each time they faced silence together. She no longer saw Lyra only as an assassin. She saw a companion who struggled with loyalty to her people and her growing respect for humanity. But peace could not last. One evening, as they sat by the lantern, the shuttle's console beeped with a warning. Myra rushed to check it. Her blood ran cold. Enemy ships are moving again, she said. They are searching the system. Lyra's eyes darkened. They will find us soon. Myra clenched her fists. Then we cannot keep running. We need to use the Genesis path, whatever it is. If I really am the key, then maybe it can help us fight back. Lyra studied her closely. You are willing to risk it? Myra nodded firmly. If humanity has a chance to stand against empires like yours, I cannot hide from it. For a long moment, Lyra said nothing. Then she reached out, resting a clawed hand gently on Myra's shoulder. "You speak with fire, human. I will stand with you, even if it means betraying my clan. My loyalty now belongs to this choice." Myra looked up, meeting her eyes. She saw truth there, not just duty. And for the first time since this began, she felt hope. Above them, the stars shone cold and distant. The storm was coming closer, and soon the hunters would arrive. But inside the cave, two beings from different worlds had formed a bond stronger than fear. And together, they prepared for what was to come. The small moon lay quiet beneath the swirling storms of the gas giant. Myra and Lyra had spent days preparing. They had reinforced the cave entrance, set up rudimentary sensors, and studied the encrypted files that hinted at the Genesis path. Myra felt the weight of her secret pressing down on her. Her blood carried knowledge that could shape entire worlds, and now it was time to act. Lyra paced back and forth, her tail flicking in irritation. "They will not wait," she said. "The Empire will send their full force. They have learned where we hide." Myra nodded, eyes fixed on the glowing data screen. "Then we cannot hide anymore. I must activate the project. If Genesis Path is truly inside me, I can unlock it to protect humanity, not to destroy it." Lyra stopped and studied her. "Are you sure, human? You have no idea what will happen. It could harm you, or it could give them power if we fail." Myra's gaze hardened. "I have no choice. If I do nothing, humanity is at their mercy. I cannot stand by." The first signs of the Empire's fleet appeared on the horizon, small dots of light growing larger with every moment. The hunters were coming, their weapons ready, their ships cutting through space with deadly precision. Myra felt her chest tighten, but the fear was tempered by resolve. She would fight not with weapons, not with ships, but with what made her human. Courage, determination, and cleverness. Lyra crouched beside her. "Then we must move quickly. Follow my lead." They left the cave and sprinted across the rocky surface, climbing a ridge that overlooked the landing site. From there, Myra could see dozens of ships descending, sleek and armored, their engines glowing against the moon's gray surface. Small squads of hunters advanced toward them, moving with lethal precision. Myra turned to the encrypted files. She touched the console, whispering the sequences aloud as the system translated them into visual patterns. Lines of light flowed across her hands, tracing genetic markers she had never understood before. Her mind strained to comprehend the structure, but instinct guided her. Somehow, the knowledge inside her connected with the code, bridging machine and human in a way that was almost impossible. Lyra watched with awe. "You are activating it. I can feel the energy around you." Myra's voice trembled slightly. "It is working, but I feel changes. Strength, clarity, understanding. I can see the structure of things, machines, energy flows, even the attackers coming toward us." From the ridge, they saw the hunters approaching in formation. They were disciplined, unafraid, confident that the human key was weak and unarmed. Myra's eyes glowed faintly as the sequences inside her DNA resonated with the project. She could anticipate their moves, predict their attacks, and even manipulate some of the station's systems remotely through the moon's remaining communication arrays. Lyra glanced at her. "Then fight, human. Show them the strength they do not understand." Myra focused, extending her awareness. A small transmitter embedded in one of the alien ships began to overload, sparking and malfunctioning. Another squad tried to climb the ridge, but their magnetic boots failed as the energy around Myra disrupted the circuits. One by one, the hunters faltered, confused by what they could not comprehend. "Unbelievable," Lyra whispered. "You are not just a human. You are something more." Myra smiled faintly, sweat running down her face. "I am human. But humans are not weak. We adapt. We endure. We fight." The Empire's fleet had no expectation for this. Their weapons were powerful, their training unmatched, but they relied on conventional strategies. Myra's awakening changed the rules. Systems failed, ships misaligned, and communication arrays scrambled. The hunters could not predict her, could not understand the patterns of her mind linked to the Genesis path. Lyra fought beside her, a blur of motion. Her blade sliced through enemy weapons, her speed unmatched even by the most disciplined hunter. Yet she no longer needed to worry alone. Myra's control of the project disrupted the attackers before they could strike, giving Lyra perfect openings to disable them. Together, they moved as a single force, one human guided by knowledge embedded in her DNA, and one former assassin guided by instinct and skill. The hunters faltered under the combined power, confusion spreading through their ranks. Myra's hands glowed as she extended her awareness. She could see the Empire's command ship hovering above, directing squads below. A thought struck her. "I can reach the command ship. If I disrupt their systems, they will have no coordination." Lyra nodded. "Then do it. I will hold this ground." Myra focused, the sequences flowing faster in her mind. Energy hummed through the moon's surface, connecting to the small arrays left behind from the shuttle and station fragments. A wave of light surged outward, spreading like a ripple through the approaching fleet. Hunters screamed in alarm as their weapons malfunctioned, their shields flickered and failed, and engines sputtered. Ships veered off course, colliding or retreating in panic. The command ship shuddered. Myra extended her focus, tracing the energy lines, and forced it to shut down systems, rendering it immobile. The Empire's attackers were thrown into chaos. Lyra landed beside her, breathing hard but smiling. "You did it. You turned the tide." Myra's chest heaved with exhaustion. "It is not over yet. They will regroup. They will try again." Lyra placed a hand on her shoulder. "Let them come. You have proven they underestimate humanity. You have shown them courage, ingenuity, and power they cannot measure." Myra's eyes softened as she looked at Lyra. "I could not have done this without you. You chose to fight with me, even though your loyalty was once to them." Lyra's golden eyes met hers. "I chose what is right. Humanity's strength is not in weapons alone, but in the courage to protect what matters. You have shown me that." The remaining ships began to retreat, their systems crippled, their squads demoralized. The Empire had never faced a human like Myra, nor an ally like Lyra. Together, they had turned fear into a weapon, confusion into defense. Myra sank to the ground, exhausted but alive. The energy of the Genesis path slowly faded, leaving her body tired but strengthened by the experience. She looked around at the scattered remnants of the enemy forces. Humanity had survived this day because she had chosen to stand, to activate the project not as a weapon of destruction but as a shield. Lyra crouched beside her, examining the horizon. "Your people may not know what happened here, but they will see the results. You have made humans a force to respect, not fear." Myra nodded. "And I will make sure that any knowledge in me is used to protect, not to harm. The Genesis path is meant to help humanity, not destroy it." The stars above shone brightly in the moon's thin atmosphere. Myra and Lyra stood side by side, two beings from different worlds who had formed a bond through courage and choice. The Empire had underestimated them both. Lyra's tail flicked softly. "You have changed me, human. I thought I knew loyalty, duty, and strength. But you have shown me a new way. I no longer serve as their weapon. I serve as your ally." Myra smiled, exhaustion mingled with hope. "Then we face the future together. Whatever comes, we will be ready." In the distance, the remaining fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, their defeat a testament to the human spirit and the choices of one extraordinary human and one former assassin. The moon was silent again, peaceful in a way it had not been before. Myra took a deep breath, feeling the cool air on her face. She had faced death, learned her secret, activated her power, and survived. She had proved that humanity was capable of more than anyone could imagine. Not through weapons or ships, but through courage, cleverness, and the refusal to surrender. Lyra looked at her with a rare softness. "Do you know what I think, Myra?" Myra shook her head, tired but curious. "That humanity may truly be the key to the galaxy's future," Lyra said. "Not because you are stronger, but because you will never give up. I have seen it now, and I will fight with you, as long as I live." Myra's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then we begin a new chapter, not just for me, but for all humans. The Empire will think twice before underestimating us again." The two stood together on the ridge, looking out at the endless sky. The moon was quiet, the storms of the gas giants swirling far above. Yet Myra felt something within her, a spark of hope, courage, and purpose. Humanity had survived. Humanity had risen. And together, human and alien, they would face the future.